Well, it's battle for first place over here in Group B, and so far M80 are one step ahead, taking Icebox in. I have to say, quite a strong fashion. I mean, they were not holding back today.
No, I just feel like when Turtle Troop are faced with a problem of really like committing to a side hit, they end up, I don't really know, they end up sort of like contacting pretty slowly. I think they're conditioned a lot by these like early aggressive pops by M80. Like M80 are going for this very, very often. Like Nismo there, like he's already on the flank. Like trying to play through the Viper's bit here at A without a killjoy is really very challenging. The Sova from Stella like had some really good moments, but in general it left them really flash light. And there were some rounds where their KO players just couldn't afford a flash, right? And that is obviously very, very difficult to overcome. Like Corey just has to walk up on a lot of these sites. The mid control was utterly shut down. That's like a huge point here. I think is Nitro is just indomitable on defense and has basically it all lined up. The constant thrashes, obviously something that is, you know, an issue. It could have been way worse. If BCJ was farming people in the first half like he did in the second, there'd be a thrash like every other round. And that guy would basically live on the map. So, you know, that's obviously been a big problem. There was like that close range thrash because M80 played up on the B side, hit 2 players, and it's all over from that point. Gecko is so oppressive right now. When you have a team comp that can secure that early orb control, and that was a priority for M80.
Yeah, I think the simplest way of breaking it down and what Trooper's going to look at, as they prepare for the midseason cup is, there just wasn't an option ever anywhere at any given moment in time. And that's just one of those things that I feel like if you're Troop, the rounds were almost decided in the first 30-40 seconds if you're giving away the map almost voluntarily so to M80. I will say though, again, where the magic started to kind of come to fruition was when they did find a way to clear up that space and they got the spike planted, things were going pretty well for them. But it's still one of those things that they just like weren't able to find the ability to really deter most of M80's setups. I mean, 5 first bloods for Xander in an 18-11 game where a lot of those kills came from the defensive half. He was 12-6 through the first half. So it's one of those situations that if you're finding that much value out of your Viper, that just means they're not being deterred. They're not being pushed around enough. And the Owl Drone and the Recon Dart is not enough to pull a Viper off site. So I think that those were the issues for Troop. And, again, if they find themselves having to square up against M80 again on this map, I would already go ahead and predict they're not going to play the same comp. They're going to play something with probably Jet involved.
I mean, Xander always does this on defense on Icebox. He absolutely feasts. Again, like he's quite often involved in a lot of these like 1-2 setups over towards yellow or even further, towards the sort of attacker side of that B side. Very, very hard to deal with these like this early bit of aggression. And it's not really elaborate from M80. Like Xander always has a one-way. He's always forcing somebody to sort of push into a disadvantageous situation. And sometimes like he gets pushed off an angle, he leaves Nismo behind, embedded, then able to push up and gain info and then, find a free kill towards spawn and punish a team that is really slow on sort of pivoting back to the A side.
I feel like too, and I'm just looking at M80 and how they played throughout that. I mean, there is just no window of opportunity, even in individual little plays. I mean, they were really quick to kind of adjust, make sure that Turtle Troop couldn't really pull anything out of their back pocket. They never caught him off by a surprise. So, I mean, M80, they're looking good going on in this. But that is just the first map of the series here. We still have 2 more, and now we're going to go over to Turtle Troop's map pick here, looking to Ascent. I mean, Shift, when I'm looking at this too, I don't hate M80 on this map, but when we're talking about how impactful that Gecko was over on the first map, I mean, this is Turtle Troop's time to bring out a little bit more of an unconventional agent.
Yeah, deadlock. And I actually did not have the chance to go back and kind of look over how they were using deadlock on this map. It was way back in like week number 3 versus SAT Esports. But the thing about it is, this is one of those moments where contesting from the defensive side is going to feel very much more stalwart. Your ability to control space and kind of get a little bit of an alarm system towards where the hits are coming from M80. But starting on the offensive side first, once again, you put a lot of focus and attention towards what can you get out of the likely scenario of a Sova, Jet, Omen to open up the site and then enforce a post plant with what they've played in the past, which has been Cypher and Deadlock. That is deadly. I don't know how you break that down if they get a post plant set up. So that's where I think you're looking at if you're Troop to really kind of utilize the strengths of this very bizarre composition.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, and this team, Turtle Troop, are also playing a very similar setup on Sunset for a time.
Yeah.
They've actually gone away from it. So I wonder if they will follow suit with their Ascent gameplay. I think like Chip brings up a great point. Like much the same as on Sunset. It's really important for cutting down those retake, avenues. That's just going to be very crucial, especially against a team who will play like a more standard composition, right? Who will definitely lean into that KO quite a lot. Try and make use of this over. We'll see a lot of contest around mid with these Jet players also sort of rotating towards tree and trying to hold some of those angles. Again, it's a flashlight comp, so on the attacking side, there is a great degree with which you just have to contact with this setup and get good value out of your Cypher cam. So it still has all the things you like. Still has Sova that can play with around that Odin. So
there's a lot of things they can be playing around here, but of course, it's time to head into our agent select to see for Turtle Troop if they're going to be going with the old or if they got something new for us. It's map 2 in the series around the corner. I'll catch you on the other side.
Thank you very much. So there's the question of deadlock, and it does get answered. Ada will be back on that agent here. So we have a chance to see how it plays out. I think like putting them on the attacking side first, which is, as we know, Shift, already a little bit harder to sort of derive advantages on this map. I mean, you need at least those 3 attacking rounds to really get to show the strength of this comp. And I'm sorry, you're playing against the #1 pistol team right now in Challengers. So that could also really hurt you if you can't get off to a decent start.
Yeah, and I think, again, just I mentioned it briefly, but let's really put the spotlight on it here for Troop. I think the assumption is from the offensive side, you're looking at a 3-man execute. You have to find value from Stellar, Weeded, and B-Dog. They have to create the space because there's no way that Corey and Adder are going to help create space. They can lock that space down magically and masterfully just based on the abilities that they've got in hand. But it comes down to, can you find success in what will essentially be, we'll call it 3v3s and entering into site, finding the ability to stop this M80 squad from getting their usual and very routine utility off to contest. And I think from the flip side perspective, to take the other perspective overall, if you're M80, you cannot allow these plants to come down because it's going to be very difficult to break them down. So, I think the compositions lead towards that pretty much being forward facing as a narrative. But like you mentioned, there's also the element of the fact that M80 are near perfect in pistols, and Troop only find the majority of their success when they have an eco advantage. And those are 2 combating narrative points. So has to see what moves and sets itself up first here.
And I want to point out that the last time we saw Turtle Troop on this map, it was against that wacky sad comp that has like the Brim Breach, Gecko, and Yoru, right?
Yeah.
So it's a comp that's very, very effective in retakes for a multiple reasons. Shut down by a wall here, but B-Dog gets grounded awful quick here. And I think the cat's out of the bag about this B-main presence.
Well, that's the thing is, like, that was a weird piece of timing. That dash was canceled by the knife, I want to say. So it's like, well, there goes that. Like, our execute's done. And now all of a sudden, there was just kind of a show of force to try to pull the defense, but Nitro's fully set up. Right clicks are landing through dark covers, and the defense will start to re-wrap back over towards A. Good lurk, though, from B-Dog to make life a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I like that. Embedded there for a time, but Xander's going to be able to pick him off. And yeah, through the dark cover, you just knife the heck out of this wall, and eventually it's going to come down. At the very least, Turtle Troop get that post plant that they were looking for. Koala forced off the angle by the cam. With the player set up in Cull, Cypher cam up on towards that left side of the site. Coming up to M80 to now fight through some of this annoying utility. The Sentinel left in his wake.
Oh, the paranoia hits so nicely, though. Gives a little bit of a moment of isolation and a read for M80. Now trying to work their way back in towards the bottom side of the site. Stellar gets caught. He has to try to help the players at hell. Off the reload. Both players will drop in, but Corey resets it. This will be a 1v3 for him. Nitro off the toggle, but Corey with the discipline wins the pistol for Troop.
Okay, so now we're off to the races. Turtle Troop winning that elusive pistol round here against M80. We see just how difficult it is to play, post plant against this setup, this double sentinel look. The paranoia, I think, from Weeded was absolutely massive. And forcing the jet off the angle at Heaven was massive. For Turtle Troop here to really get set up and embedded. And some great game sense from Corey there to round it out.
Yeah, really, really well done. I mean, there wasn't a good option for Troop in that post plant, thanks largely to the isolation and elimination of the players on the extremities, but that's just an individual difference right there. And like you mentioned, it's off of a plant, it's off of a lot of kills, so, the ability for them to set themselves up, just kind of taking an extra step forward here in the foreshadowing of a big bonus is right within their reach. Guardian, Bulldog, Phantom, 2 Spectres, very powerful setup here in round 2 for Troop.
Aldrone here. Sees very, very little. No Cypher tricks, of course, to contend with. So Stella can just send that in there and hope to spot any presence out. But with this gamble towards mid from M80, it leaves him able to rotate. But playing the post plant is almost guaranteed.
Yeah, this is one of those moments that, like you said, the guarantee of the post plant should feel pretty good. I don't know if we'll see fully what Troop are going to offer for like how they set up their post plants because of the situation at hand, but my expectation would be you get forward and then you just, again, you isolate points of ingress. The barrier mesh blocks off the catwalk response. It also makes life a little bit hard trying to rotate in towards Tree in the first place. You have the ability to drop sensors late. You've got cyber trap. You've got so much available for Troop to lock in these post plants.
Good intuition here for B-Dog as BCJ brings that trip down. Can start to take more of this space series. He's definitely advantage when it comes to weaponry. Astute little shoulder pick from BCJ and wins that fight out. Unfortunately, can't convert that to anything else with a very quick trade off. Gualdi, though, he swings in towards main. Massive space creator from behind the molly. The jet brought down, but able to spray towards the side, and the stick is there, Xander. Well, can't quite get it done. Turtle Troop will walk away with 2 of those weapons.
Heck of an effort, though, honestly. I mean, you force the repurchases like you bring up. That's a pretty important part. And more importantly, a couple of those rifles don't actually get recollected. So you only bring the Phantom and the Spectre. So what was a pretty formidable 5-weapon setup for Troop, now reduced to just a single AR, single SMG, double Sheriffs. We're on the opposite side, M80, because of how many kills they were able to pull, have found themselves not just on a full buy, but they've also got a lot of armor to go with it. So yeah, this is, again, kind of a swing back, and it'll be a very difficult bonus here for Troop, although the extra stinger pressure may allow them a chance to, again, just kind of continue to use what you would assume they're going to, which is this burst setup. Info gathering first, paranoia second, B-Dog in third.
Cam cleared there.
Feeling area.
On a shock dart. B-Dog already getting himself over towards the logs here. BCJ, not much to be seeing right now, especially with a dark cover in the way. So pressure now on towards the side anchors as Koala Noob can only really peer in and lucky to get away with his life there. Span came towards market, brings him low. Nitro looking for a timing here out of this dark cover. Sees just a bit of stellar, but the spray is no good. Now he's got to face down multiple players. He gets caught in the grav net anyway. So 1-for-1. Xander wants to step up here, but it's still he's annoying. Omen smokes over the side, and the trades are decent here for Turtle Troop. Sets up a 2v1 with BCJ at 64.
The issue here is we did gets caught. Oh no, the double swing almost not timed right. Bold call from Troop. A lot of that is because they were so isolated off of their approach in towards site that you kind of had to go save a life. We did with just a stinger, was kind of caught at market looking for a hope and a prayer. And Troop, the quick burst works out, and maybe a lot of that comes off, again, the backside of Koala gives away his position. He almost gets taken out immediately, but he's not a part of that defensive hold. Nitro caught on the site, does what he can to sidestep around the utility, but only 1-for-1 is not good enough against the Stingers. That is a massive third round for Troop.
We're going to have a mid-crunch here. Straight away, M80, step up. B-Dog gets a hint of it. BCJ brought down, and Koala Noob not in a position to trade, even pinged out there. Having a tailwind away from the shock dart, but gives up all that space in mid. The Turtle Troop now capitalized.
And I love this. Win middle of the map. One of the most important parts, especially with lower weapons in hand for M80. It creates so many issues for the defense to move around the map, and this has been pretty perfect for Turtle Troop. Not giving away anything, not making any mistakes. And that statistic about how they play when they're at an eco advantage, the best team in Challengers NA with almost an 85% win rate, will continue to be boosted up here most likely with just a couple more players to find.
Ready.
No spike plant yet, though. Despite all that action in mid, Turtle Troop still need to make their way towards B. Koala Noob there gets sort of drawn into that line. Xander can only go to work here with the Sheriff. Unfortunately, this town remains lawless.
Yeah, really clean stuff from Troop. And to be fair, it's one of those things that we kind of talk about, you know, their ability to play this 3-man burst on the outsides of the map. I would love to have them just kind of try to create some conversation points, the defense of M80, by trying to put some pressure at mid. You know, throw a shock dart out there, see if you can get that alarm bot down, force that Killjoy to spend a little bit more attention at mid, open up a little bit more opportunity for these bursts in the mid round or late round to possibly find more success because the defense cannot stack. So there are opportunities, I think, for Troop to utilize mid map here. The only issue is going into round number 5. Wall has already brought an early operator to play, and well, yep, framed it up, teed it up for him. He knocked it out of the park. First blood tallied by M80 through mid.
He even reposted up on that angle after the recon came through. Risky business. But it pays off here now, and M80 starts to try and corral Turtle Troop in through market. That spike obviously did get dropped. Still sitting in mid. And you see like the posturing here from Stellar to hope that no action comes here anymore from Catwalk out of tree. He will be able to recover the spike.
The thing about it is when you lose Weeded, your ability to get, again, your flash play in towards the site is gone. You also lose out in the smoke cover, which is also an important part of trying to isolate the site for B-Dog to know where to dash into. So in terms of figuring out what you want to do here offensively, it's almost like they're hoping and praying for some good raw contact somewhere, because there's really not any great options anywhere.
Gizmo's going to get some though, and Ada wins it out. B-Dog straight here into defense spawn now. Okay, so that Annihilation got some value. Ada sees that one go down. Knows that this is a kill secured well and truly. Nobody can help Koala Noob here, and why not take the spike out? Slowly, Turtle Troop heading towards A, but one player can really unseat this. Xander is going to be set up on that side. He can completely derail this play.
And he's going to hear it. All he has to do is wait for the plant to try to come through, and that should likely be enough time. The paranoia comes out, and this is what I'm talking about, Mitch. Flat out, if you don't have the controller in play for Troop, how do you actually get onto site? Adder does what he can to find a couple of kills, but without that flash and dash through the paranoia, without the smokes to try to help isolate, you can't take the site with just two players, with B-Dog and Stellar. You need more than that, and wow, how important that opening op shot comes, not just because it's a first blood, but on who it's on. That's massive.
And you were saying, it's very clear. The Turtle Troop are looking for some contact, something to be served up to them. Now, Nismo gives them that by trying to re-clear mid after Koala Noob goes into market. But they find nothing of that nature on the side itself, so they're waiting and have to rotate out and get derailed.
Wow, that was an illuminating round towards the one-dimensionality that Troop can find themselves in. Isolated play here for M80, looking to get aggressive through A, gets punished. Aldrin will also see Xander's playing forward. That's enough for the nerf that to be not just earned, but also utilized, and here comes the burst. This should be a very free take, unless Koala hits some sort of miracle shot.
Audacious. The paranoia came in to shut down that heaven position. Xander's going to wrap around, has the timing on Corey here. At least the trade's going to be there for B-Dog, but this is a problem. Weedy now has to hold his ground. Blade Storm active. Ada, beautiful. Off angle there. Not only is he going to cut off tree, but takes Nitro for free. It's all up to the operator player here. Ada shuts it down.
Yeah, really, really well done. And that's just, you know, for M80, I get it. I think it's the right round to try to force something, try to reset the trends, build a little bit of momentum, but Troop have the perfect read and response, at least, to it. Maybe not the read, but they react to it nicely. And the neural theft afterwards says, yep, this is a green light, go call. And more importantly, even though BCJ does rotate into the site quickly, it doesn't really amount to too much with the Odin trying to spam through the smoke. So great stuff there from Troop. And now, if you're M80, I think the whole idea is you just got to reconfirm your flash and dash defense. How do we respond to that? Because that's really been where the successes come from Troop. I mean, the pistol plus the extra, sure, that's 2 of the 5 rounds. The third round, that one is definitely one that's going to kind of pay a bit of a tax towards you. But realistically speaking, round 6 was the only round they've actually played a full defense on so far. I guess round 5 as well. So I think this is just, let's reconfirm that, yeah, Troop is going to be playing for flash and dashes. Do we want to take the mindset of getting aggressive and beating them to the punch before they can execute that? Or do we want to take an extra step back, try not to be punished by their connecting paranoias, and then just play for retake afterwards? That's the timeout discussion, surely.
But it forces M80 to play in a style that's not characteristic to them. They love that early aggression. They love those prods at the extremities. They love to take, you know, to take positive trades at the start of these rounds. But as playing into Turtle Troop's gameplay, and we just saw that. We did playing very well against an enemy one way over at A main.
Sure.
They trade positive and they can move into the site and again put you in this oppressive post-plant scenario.
This is interesting. There was enough here for him to go, well, maybe not fully. It's an outlaw instead of the operator here from the offensive B-Dog, but Knives likely going to be a part of this play. So what's the design here on the other side? Because you've got Stellar with an Odin who can start to get to work kind of spamming some of the high ground spaces out if you do want to try to use B-Dog in a different capacity than trying to get super, super far forward. And you look to him to kind of be the main kill presence here for Troop on this execute, whatever what happens to be.
That smoke location indicates that Xander's not trying to cross or imply as such. It also means that M80 don't know if someone's in wine already, because they've not been holding A main. Comes BCJ.
Good read.
You might have seen that trip there. Yep, going to clear it.
That, and I think he also caught a couple, if not two, at least one player over towards that mid double doors connector at B as well. So Troop kind of to be a little bit cautious, because as much as you're talking about like angles at wine not being cleared, now all of a sudden B main has to be re-cleared. And as the dart kind of comes out, Nismo steps into this. Timing was good, but the shots less than stellar. And the hit for Troop now starts to unfold over towards the opposite side at B with a teleport coming out.
BCJ caught midway through. There's B-Dog. Dashing on in. Koala Noob just could not get out of CT in time. Here we go again. Turtle Troop, they picked the right side. They made the right choice despite seeing pretty little over at A outside of the Koala Noob peaks from heaven. Oh, well, that's always going to happen. Nitro walked straight into the outlaw line.
Yeah, I mean, on pistols, hard ask here for M80 for sure, but I do like this idea from Troop of, again, stretching the pressure out a touch. And I'd be curious when we get back to full weapons again, how much does Troop try to continue to do that, not just on the outside cement, but will they start to put a little bit of extra mounting pressure in towards mid and try to keep this Killjoy a little bit more uncomfortable, which they've done a pretty decent job at to this point, at least through 7 rounds.
Not much to do here. CM80 just probably sit embedded for now and try and go down to the spike. Not give Weeded anything for free. So not much to talk about really at the end of this round, but I want to point out we have 6 attacking rounds already coming up from Turtle Troop with a double Sentinel composition. Talk about paving the way for a successful map.
It's just one of those things that, how do you re-break the post plan? I think that's the issue. And if you're M80, kind of going back to the timeout conversation that I was kind of like foreshadowing, kind of predicting, is if you do choose to have to play retake, then again, another layer gets added into how do we break down the double sentinel, in particular the deadlock. So there is like this moment where I think if you're M80, like you were kind of alluding towards as well there, Mitch, is they like to play quick. They like to stop you from finding good execute. You may feel like that's a forced issue. You kind of have to do that just to make sure Troop don't get this very rigid post plant setup that they get based on the Cypher and the deadlock combo.
That or you just anchor as effectively as you can, right, and win out there, but it's never a sure thing. We're pushing up on this again. The knife gives a ton of information. Here comes the Fury. Xander gets caught out of holding that angle for much longer than is customary. Nismo reconfirms, still up there.
But Mitch, here we go, 4v4, but you don't have B-Dog anymore. So when you miss a key component of this triple hit of info, flash, dash, how do you actually successfully pull off an offensive round? It didn't go well for them the first time around by losing We Did. This time you don't have B-Dog. So, man, this is a tall ask how you even get into the site, let alone get a plant off.
VCJ just got into A ahead of the deadlock barrier. They've just got thrown to tree. So we are anchored hard. VCJ and Ismo are going to have to do a lot of work for the time being.
Right here.
Chance for defensive recon. VCJ might just want to swing this on a particular timing. Going to be a lot of pressure towards Hell first. There's a window, but it closes. Weedy just gets them both for free. I'm not sure what happened there, but for whatever reason, VCJ and Nismo cannot coordinate off each other.
Yeah, moment of second guessing if someone had gotten up top and around them, maybe. Hard to say, but We Did again, showing that stat line we showed at the beginning of the match. He's just a little bit different. Still a winnable round, though. We Did's only on 11 HP, so it just comes down to, can Nitro move the focus and give Koala Noob a chance to even get in this site with its operator, and he finds one for free. Now We Did is low, and a chance that Koala Noob could actually pick up a weapon if he wants to.
Thinks twice about it, though. He's a recon. Koala Noob here with the classics, able to find the right click kill. Odin, though, from A-main's a problem. Stellar also has a shock to follow it up. Nitro is healthy for the time being. He eats that whole thing to try and half it. Then Stellar just swings out for the Zippo clutch.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that round and try to figure out where about M80 started to kind of get like this moment of anxiousness about someone maybe having pushed through glass before that barrier mesh, because the two defenders on site, like you called, I thought they were going to feel very confident of barrier mesh is down. We just have to focus on the front. I mean, we kind of beat that timing, but maybe they were thinking someone snuck around the back because there really wasn't anyone watching tree because of the early entry. I don't know. It's kind of hard to get a full read on, but that moment of second guessing allows Troop a chance to walk into the site a lot more freely, and yeah, they get the easy pickups thanks to Weeda just being a little bit better.
Just a really uninspired 2v1 in that post plant.
It really was.
From M80. No high-low setup at all. Tough to punish that Odin position by main, in fairness, but I feel like there's a lot more that you could maybe have manufactured there. Regardless, slower start to the round here, M80. Again, with this level of weaponry, not incentivized to make any probes. He did actually cop a little bit of chip damage as he crosses. Koala feeling the heat now as Stella starts to rattle the cage.
Rattle whenever he can.
I have
Spray through the wall, see what you can find, and yeah, Koala Noob tagged up, so the Bucky gets pushed off the opening angle, but there is Killjoy utility there. This is really going to be about, does Xander find any info off these shoulders? Dark cover's placed at a really nice piece of timing. Here comes the hit. B-Dog gets up top. Yeah, that'll work. Annihilation was also trying to be spent, but doesn't make much of a difference. B-Dog's already gotten top hell control.
It's so funny to watch how differently this Turtle Troop comp has to play in these early rounds, right? They are just holding angles, hoping for something, and M80 eventually say, we need some info. We need to be able to make an informed decision about how we distribute our resources defensively. Even there, like, Xander's not playing overly aggressive. The Annihilation would have confirmed that kill. Sure. If B-Dog hadn't just ran straight down his throat.
Yeah, it's very, very accurate. It is another one of those rounds where Turtle Troop, at an advantage, continue to be near flawless. Just, they don't make mistakes in rounds that look like this. And to be fair, this is the toughest opponent they've played, because if M80 are great at playing from an eco disadvantage, they win 50% of the rounds, which is an astronomically high stat. But I think the thing about it is, you know, M80 just have not been allowed to get into a position to really even fight these full versus full buy rounds yet. Well, and that's great news for Troop. They've really just utilized the momentum from the first 3 rounds, the pistol, the follow-up, plus the bonus.
I mean, it's a fair point. Talked about econ advantage here and something that M80 been able to leverage, even like being behind sort of financially. Do you know how many thrifties we had last map? None.
Yeah, 0.
We've had none here either.
Yeah.
So M80 are normally a team who can find success in those situations, have not been the usual selves. That could have a lot to do with the fact that Turtle Troop just doesn't give it up to you so easily. These, from both sides, in fairness, these eco rounds have looked pretty rough. They've just kind of run it down and tried to move on to the next round on many an occasion.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right. And now all of a sudden, just to speak to it, you're hoping you can find a way to get 8-4 here if you're M80, because if you lose this round, you're maybe 10-2, maybe you win round 12, but this is a must-win round. It's going to feel like here for M80, and they've got plenty of tools to do it. Lockdown, null command, operator, all things that M80 loves to see stacked up. It just comes down to, can Troop find success on this little flash and dash play? And I love this little stretch through mid early. May not result in a commitment, but it's going to keep this M80 defense a little bit more spread out.
They have no idea about B-Dog, I think. That cyber cage allowed him to walk straight on up. Koala Noob couldn't afford to challenge that angle. But that Aldrone gives Koala Noob the space to work now. The knife surely garnered some information. And that's Weeded going down. He was trying to make his way in towards Cubby.
And you can see M80 had to spin focus here. Oh, B-Dog gets one. That is absolutely pivotal. Quality now solo defending over towards B main. First shot lands. Nitro also creates issues to the backside at mid. So now Troop again. They're missing on their executors. And it's just left to Adder. Great shots from Koala Noob as soon as it looked like Troop was starting to find a lot of success offensively through the middle of the map.
I mean, I'm watching. I can tell you M80 are gritting their teeth having to play this way, right? They are embedded, they are anchoring, and they are holding that operator line there towards market, which was pretty darn huge in that round. Koala Noob now really starts to get a feel for the tempo. Forced off of mid by both a recon and then a cyber cage. Doesn't want to challenge that angle. That's a clever move to make. And is able to be put in a position to find success there, contacting the extremity to A, playing back towards the site. It's not M80's preferred style of play, but they're realizing it's going to get them round wins here against a team that has to contact every part of the map.
Yep, absolutely the case. It's the contacting if you want to stretch, and then it's the very predictable burst to actually execute, you know, with the likely combination of it in consisting of Weeded, B-Dog, and Stellar. So it's good awareness from M80.
Destroyed.
I still love the idea that Trooper are trying to make some motion happen towards mid. I mean, this is a great staging point for them, especially with the other agents they have as part of the picture. Getting tree control with a deadlock and a Cypher could be massive, but what in the hell is that shot from Koala Noob?
Impossible to follow that, but perfect flick. And there it is. Hold the line. Make beautiful corrections like that, and you are in good stead. Well, the Blade Storm doesn't really find any value. But Weeded has to play on his own here from A-Main. And he will wait.
Wow. I mean, here's the breakdown, Mitch. Koala noob good. This is so stupid. Because I love the idea from Troop. For the first time, you're going to try to burst your way in through tree. That gives you that isolation, but that is just simply put an unbelievable individual shot, an individual play. That's ridiculous.
Funny there from Weeded, trying to imply like a TT in towards the tree, but he gets knifed out and has to shoot it pretty much straight away. So there was never really anything to be built on in that 1 versus 3 for him. And maybe get themselves that defensive round. Surely hoping for much more than this, knowing what they're going to have to play into in the next half. God, that is just unreal.
Buy a lottery ticket, but that's, I would say, but that's not luck. That's just good.
He legged him, right? It's so hard to see how he's... There was a headshot.
Headshot, yeah. Oh, here we go, bitch. Oh, boy. Do you think M80's starting to feel themselves a little bit? Paranoia execute. Corey just wanders in, trying to keep the play alive because you've already lost B-Dog, so someone has to burst through sight. But, yeah.
He gave the operator an Ismo there.
Yeah. That's so silly.
Well, he has it to hand once more, and Turtle Troop are going to say, well, we're just going to cry into our fat stacks build up from winning 8 attacking rounds with our double Sentinel comp, and we'll see you in the next half. Stella here, revealed for all to see. And a lockdown to confirm that there will be no action here over at B. That's a lockdown in mid, by the way. Well, fair enough. 4 rounds on the half for M80. Definitely much less than they were hoping for now, and they're going to have to be ready to try and break through these adamant defenses.
Wow. Great adjustments from M80. And it kind of comes as predicted, but like you said, now it's down to how do you bleed out a double Sentinel setup where Troop's defense, I mean, to speak to it, the one time they played this map, which, again, they played the defensive side second, but they went 5-1 against SAD Esports in week 3 with this composition. So SAD couldn't figure it out. Can M80 provide something that, again, throws a bit of a monkey wrench into what seems to be, based on the compositional setup, a pretty well-oiled machine here? It's a really cool idea, and it's something that we have not really seen ever, across any level of Valorant. So it's definitely unique, to say the least.
Maybe a bit more of a well-rounded comp here for M80 than what we saw from SAD, which was, for lack of a better term, experimental in nature. We have a slow play here from M80, hoping for a little bit of action here on the defensive floor from the defenders, but when you can sit behind trips and barriers, it feels unlikely.
First shot could be a big one here. That will work. Follow up again off the Paranoia is not fully there. B-Dog does get suppressed, but Weeded still tucked away, kind of in a corner, and that's enough for him to also hold on to his. Yep, that's super well played. Paranoia held as soon as the secondary side of the execute comes out, and Weeded is going to work. Nitro, last one left, 1v4.
That one gets wrapped up pretty darn quickly here. M80 end up ambling over towards that A site. But very, very hard to pin down to the defenders, and also 2 trips to have to play through. I don't hate the Al drone combined there with Koala. Obviously trying to walk up here. You can sort of see that opening, but like you said, all too easy for Weeded. You can't push off the site as attackers here either because of these bloody tripwires. So you are hemmed in.
Yeah. And here we go. Okay, I was curious to see if we were going to get something like this out of M80. They are one of the more regular teams in terms of force buying in round number 2. But both teams statistically are great in these rounds. M80 is a perfect 6-0 in them, though, where Turtle Trip is 7-2. So you talked about the pistol success being a huge success factor for M80. Rounds that look like this have also gone their way every single time they find themselves in these circumstances.
No way you're hitting B at this rate. 2 of those alarms set up here by the deadlock. One denies the walk in past logs, the other on Speedway, so forget about that. It's really up to M80 here for trying to find their way around his layered utility set up by Corey. Obviously on the Sentinel this game, which is not a frequent occurrence. Molly lineup here might deny the push out of tree by the looks of things. It's going to be B-Dog here set up. Judge from Corey, though. He has the timing. Weeded, though, takes the kill away. There's the trip's going to work. It's all too easy. Corey sees him before he shoots him. VCT's got no choice here but to throw himself at this impenetrable barrier.
This stuff's nasty, bro. I mean, this is such a cool setup for Troop. And that's the other part about it. Like, they only played SAT Esports on this map with this composition, and we only got to see 6 rounds worth of defense. But, I mean, this is disgusting. And it's just like, what do you do if you're M80? Like, you can't really burst into the setup because you're bursting into a cipher that has tripwires all over the place, plus cyber cages. And now you take a look at the setup for TTR. They're reinforcing it with sentries from the deadlock, and so they can stack heavy through one side of the map or the other. I mean, this is sexy cool.
Good opening from Xander. Now, hitting the weak side like that means he has a chance to actually unravel some of this util, but there's no shock dart on that side of the map. Getting rid of the trips is a bit of a different story. He opts not to really pressure A at all. That's drawn a couple of rotators over anyway, splitting the defenders by more than half at B. It's going to have to be B-Dog falling back to the site. None of that deadlock util was placed over at B here, so M80 do have an opportunity now, getting some of those guns to hand as well.
Yeah, that is a big opportunistic moment here for M80. Smoke will fade. B-Dog gets revealed by this. Aljon just to try to confirm. Oh, first shot actually does tag, but doesn't confirm the kill. So now Koalanoob and then Nismo can push through. Shots with the Guardian also alert Koalanoob that there's more players nearby. And even though Stellar's doing what he can to try to keep himself involved in the conversation, he will be blindsided by Koalanoob, and M80 is going to take a huge round away to keep themselves alive in this map.
Yeah, they do it up against this, this bonus round. They do it really well. I want to point out B-Dog, I think, only had a Marshal there. So that's an outlaw. That first is a kill. 100% of the time. Many of those only came in with sort of half armor. Leaded says, well, look, buying up next round anyway. Nothing but a sting in hand. Maybe I can get something on the way out here and slow M80 down because this is a big eco swing. M80 keeps these weapons heading into the next.
Does he get another? Okay. Just a stinger, not the end of the world. A little bit of a toggle of who's going to take what into battle, and everyone says, oh, maybe we don't want the stinger at all. This purchase behind it. So, yeah, we kind of reset the eco here after a couple of very strange timings, or at least purchases of timings in these couple of rounds here in the second half. But the operator's out for B-Dog, and that's just another element, kind of like we talked about for TTR, where like there was no good option in terms of where you approach an icebox. Now they can do the exact same thing to M80 with this Cypher deadlock operator spread. No option's going to feel like a comfortable one for M80 early on. They just cannot allow the map to get out of hand too quickly.
Ada couldn't afford a ton of that deadlock utility this round. Still has the barrier though in B, which is going to be a nuisance for Nitro, but given his current weaponry, he's not looking to push up anyway. He's happy to sit there and wait for someone to forge out. That's also not going to happen now with the barrier having been placed out.
And this is a no option thing here for M80, unless somehow, some way.
Just chop it up, I think, with the knife and double face it.
Yeah, that's probably the only real option you've got. Oh, that's not what you want to do. Just kind of hoping and predicting that maybe B-Dog's not in the corner, just a raw peek that does get punished. The space is claimed, though. You're just missing, again, that extra bit of burst. It's going to have to be someone like Nitro to get in, and B-Dog says, nope, not open. Get out of my face.
The paranoia is just too slow. It's too late there. B-Dog would have been completely forced off that angle, but now gets to take a lot of these clean lines. Doesn't expect there to be another player up Speedway there, so BCJ has at least a plant. But only a Guardian up against 3 here.
Standing ahead.
It's a tough ask. There's an Odin in play for Stella now. Oh my goodness! Okay, revealing the Odin player there of the recon, but BCJ knows he's under extreme pressure in his immediate vicinity. And it'll be a jump over the top, and Weeded can swing in and capitalize.
For a second there, he gets that connection through the backside of Boathouse, and you go, wait, maybe. but just the Guardian. Yeah, the taxation of the 2 force buy rounds for M80 coming into play there, and what would normally be a full purchase round may not have made much of a difference, end all be all, because B-Dog just puts the round out of commission with the 3 shots that land from the operator. And now you got 11-5. Weapons will be back into hand here for M80, but again, the problems are multifaceted. You know, in terms of not just what site we prefer over the other, but when an operator's up and in play, it's kind of like we talked about from Troop's perspective from last map, just to say it again. There doesn't feel like there's a great option. You have to spend a lot just to gain some ground to work with, and that takes away the severity of these burst plays that M80 is largely known for on this map, because there's not as much utility to supply the support that is normally there, because you have to use it to make sure that Troop's early Sentinel players are at least stretched from whatever utility they're throwing at the front doors.
I mean, you just can't fast hit either of the sites.
No, you can't. No.
The opposite's not available to you, which means that you are like slow contacting and jiggling corners, which is where that operator shines. That's why B-Dog has a very comfortable round there. Eventually there's a flash that comes in, but there's an issue of them not knowing if there's any deadlock util set up on Speedway. Can they just run down there? They have to kind of hope that it wasn't brought into the round. So B-Dog really gets to play a very comfy game behind those, because his opponents have to play slow. They have to be considerate, I think, of what might be lying in their way. Look at the overload here of util over towards the B side.
Yeah.
It's going to be up to M80 to kind of figure out which is the safety hit. Trying to put together a little piece, a little fast execute here to overwhelm these defenders.
And, you know, that's the other part about this. As much as you can often assume that there's going to be one Sentinel on one site, one on the other, they can also variety base it based off of this. Trap wires, sensors, supporting. You don't even have to put anyone on site. So it's just another different variable look that the defense can afford to do thanks to all of the standing utility. It's so freaking cool.
Mid's always a decent option for the early round here for M80. They know that that's not really where this Sentinel utility can be employed. But it doesn't answer the question of how they transition from there into the extremities, into the sites proper.
That was where I was going to go with the follow-up point if you didn't touch on it. There's also the concern of B-Dog could also just be at middle with an operator. So again, like, it's hard to get a read on what the setup actually is for True. The barrier mesh will be destroyed at mid, but again, with the spy cam in place, like, Trip just doesn't care. And the alarm bot, they just don't care that
not
that
even
has been destroyed.
It's only one arm of it.
It's wild.
Goes away now, at least. So that has been cleared. 30 seconds left in the round. You have no information outside of the fact that you saw a deadlock run back into market. I like this, though. Null command, very, very important in these kind of rounds. Here, but still with the shoulder peak. It's labored, though. Nitro does get caught. Yes, B-Dog can only really speculate with some of those shots through the smoke, but Stella can anchor with an Odin. They're running into it, and they're getting mowed down. 2 plays left. The challenge, and Stella makes mincemeat of him.
I mean, things that make you go like trap wire, sensor, Odin, like, oh, it's like Pickett's charge straight into just straight cannon fire. Yo, this is so sick. I don't like, what a cool idea from True in this composition. And early offers of like, how do you deal with it? I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
I tell you what you do. You have to get a buffer on the defensive side yourself. Against this double sentinel setup. I think if you don't have that to work with, then you need more than just around here, around there to secure the map. It's like M80 coming out of that first half. Like, they can't have been feeling favored at all here.
This is so sick. I mean, we're watching something that could potentially be meta-changing. Legitimately, this could be meta-changing right here.
Take flight.
And it's against a team that has not lost a map, by the way, friends. Granted, I know that the opinions on Group B are maybe not as significantly high as Group A's are, but regardless, this is cool. This is super cool. And now all of a sudden, your only option is to try to find, again, contact play. B-Dog, not bad. Also avoids the paranoia. Now he's got knives out. Doesn't make a difference what he wants to shoot at, it feels like, because he's got support. I mean, it's just everything is covered. Everything is covered. Yo!
Okay. Yeah, it's short. Wrap it up. We are done here on Ascent. Turtle Troop serve up M80 their first map loss here of Challengers, and it's about as unclose as you could possibly ask for.
That was sick. Legitimately, that was one of the coolest things I think I've seen in recent meta shifts towards potential options here on Ascent. I mean, we've been looking at the same comps on Ascent for 15 years, it feels like. To finally see something that brings new light to the picture and does it with that much conviction, so good. But you're absolutely right. You know, you have to be able to put together a good defensive round half of your own. I think in particular, again, the struggles of that composition are very amassed on the offensive perspective of it's one-dimensional. It's likely going to be information, followed by a paranoia, followed by B-Dog dashing in. That is not atypical from what we've often seen at Ascent. So for M80 to lose on a pistol, which they don't really do, and then also not have good responses and full gun rounds to that setup, Turtle Troop have a runaway second half. That was sexy. I love it. I love what I saw.
We'll talk about it more after the break because it's a style that is just the antithesis to what M80 want to do on defense. We are going to go and see some messages from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk about that last map. And of course, we'll set our eyes to the decider map here in the decider match of Group B.
Peace.